Hello, welcome back to the channel. This is part 12 of us building the Epic Store Games UI in React. And today we'll be finishing our navigation header. And to do that, we'll also have to bring in some kind of login management and user data, because as you can tell, there's a difference between, come on, login. Okay, so there's a difference between how is the navigation header behaving once you're logged in and before. To do that, we'll have to somehow know whether our user is logged in or not. So that's gonna be interesting one. Okay, this is our current solution. One thing that is missing is, of course, the language menu. And you know what? Let's do this. So in here, I'll create new file. I'll call it language menu.tsx. Let's bootstrap that. I'll create the list of the files that the languages that we support. So for now it will be English, German, and Polish. Okay. We'll need some styles. Menut sounds French to me. Okay, that's way better. We'll need our styles, so let's use styles and make styles, and we will use theme here. So that's done. We'll need a box that will act as a wrapper. So let's do that. And we'll have to change that a little bit. So this is coming from MaterialUI core. I'm actually gonna take the language from here. Yeah, we will basically we have to copy this here. Okay, this is obviously our icon. We need these classes, and these are highlight icon and language icon. Let's see, language icon. Okay, so that's that. Classes, we have to create that. So use styles. Then there's a case of highlight icon, and I'm not sure how we should handle that, because it should be highlighted. This is also being used here for login, and I don't want to specify this twice. Well, I could create a global class then, right? I could go to theme and in global create class highlight icon. I hope that works. We'll see. This is what we need to specify. We can get rid of that. Okay. And now here that doesn't exist, and also here that doesn't exist. So we have to just say highlight icon, because now it's defined as a global. And here we can go with highlight icon. There will be no props, I assume, but we'll see. Let's get rid of that for now. This is fine. And then where was it? I believe it was here. We have to add language menu. Okay, and palette of undefined. Oh, yeah, because we're creating theme here. So basically, we have to copy that. Or we can just do that and still keep it in one place. So that's that, and that's that. Okay. Do not repeat yourself. Is this working then? Yeah, it's still the same. It's still highlight, so that's wonderful. So we just move some stuff around just to tidy it up. And now we can actually add our language menu. So basically here, I'm gonna do UL. I'm gonna take languages and of course languages map. We'll map it. Pretty standard when you're using React or Flutter, something like this. That's gonna be language here, and we have to specify a key, of course, and it's gonna be language. Nothing magical here. So what happens? Well, that sucks, as you can tell, right? So basically, we'd like that list to appear below our icon and in front of everything else, right? And then it also disappears, right, when you move away from it. And it's actually rather interesting to achieve. So we need to play a little bit with our classes. Let's see. For this one, we will create a class called language list, and then for that we'll create classes the language item. Okay, so how to achieve that? Well, basically in DOM the content is flowing from left to right and from top to bottom. And our list is, well, sorry, rendering like outside of that normal flow, right? It is rendering like in front and below another element. So if you'd like to render something outside of the standard flow of DOM elements, you basically have to use position relative and position absolute. So for that element, for our wrapper, for our box, I'm going to do position relative, and then for our language list, I'm going to do position absolute. Okay, let's create language item as an empty class for now. This should render. And now, as you can see, it is rendering like on top of and in front of our icon. So let's start by pushing it down. Let's say 40 pixels and left minus 60 pixels. Okay, and we can do text align center. And well, you can see it now, but if I'll do something like background color, theme palette, secondary main, you can see white and white. It's here, right? So we're getting close. Close R. Okay. We will specify the minimal width to be 180. I will add a little bit of padding. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere, right? So it should be a little bit higher, as you can tell. So let me just do 30 pixels, should be good. Okay. And then for our language item, for uppercase, change the font size. Put a little bit of padding on top of that. What do we need? We need color. Okay. And then cursor change to pointer, because I believe if we ever implement translations, you can click on that. And hover color white. Okay, it looks way better. Now there's this interesting trick when it's only visible when you hover over it. So we can do that by adding the visibility set to hidden. Okay. And then here we have to add, well, here we can add language wrapper class. and then add cursor pointer. And when someone hovers over our wrapper, find UL and set it visibility to visible. Add this class here. Oh, you already have a class. That's not a problem. This is language wrapper. Okay, so by default, this is hidden, but when someone hovers over our wonderful icon, it should pop up. Well, the problem is if you try to go down the list, right, it goes away. So we can fix that by adding another pseudo class here and hover. Also set the visibility to visible. And now there's a slight problem because there seems to be some kind of gap between our wrapper and okay, so our language wrapper should have height of 100%, and now well, it's not perfect, or maybe you could bring that, let's see, bring that a little bit higher. It has to be like pixel perfect. 25 it is. Okay, so bring that higher, and basically there we go, we have our list. So that's one part done. Another part, more interesting, I think, is how to know whether the user was previously signed in or is already signed in, and display some UI elements based on that, right? Because basically you have two types of applications. One type is the type of application that's only accessible to the user that is signed in. For example, that might be, I know, your bank account. You have to be signed in to use it. Or I don't know, some kind of communication service, right? You can't use Messenger web app without being signed in, right? And then there's another type that can be used no matter whether you're sign in or sign out. You don't even have to have account, for example, to use YouTube, right? You can just, or TikTok, you can just watch and scroll through the content, and then once you decide to be signed in, you're getting some custom features, or the content is being matched to your style and needs by some artificial intelligence, right? And this is the same case with Epic Store. You can scroll and watch your content being signed out, but also sign in. So how to know whether user is already signed in? Well, one thing we can do is when the app is starting up, right, in its, let's say, initial part of loading our React app, we could do some kind of request to our API and ask for verification of our identity. And our identity is stored as a JWT token in a cookie. So we could just ask API, hey, could you verify that token? And if the token is correct, mean, well, yeah, you can make another request, mean you are basically signed in. So I can go to my auth controller in my backend, and we'll add one function here that will help us solve this. So this is gonna be use guards. We'll have to verify our token. I will name this function verify, and I will just create it. It's gonna be request. Request is supposed to be with user. If we go through the guard, then we'll just take the user. We can do this like here. We have to remove the password for now, and then return the user. Okay, and basically that's it. If we have the proper JWT token in a cookie, our guard, where is it? Strategy, right? Our guard will kick in, and if it's not, it will return 401. Okay, simple as that. So this is done. Now we have to find a place to run it, and this is going to be here, because here we are doing the initialization of our API. So this is basically our bootstrapping initial loading part. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create new function for it, preload, and I'm going to create it right here, and I'm going to make it asynchronous. We're going to take all of this, put it here, and here we're going to just call, let's see, let me think. Well, I'm going to go to the alpha P, and here we're gonna create new type. I'm gonna set it to user data, and oops, well, I'm writing even type user data. So this is pretty much the same like register form input, except for the terms accepted value. And I'm going to say that when you register, let's move it. Do I have to? No, not really. So sorry, I had to pick up a phone call. Oh yeah. So we have that defined, we have user auth response and user auth response. This isn't actually correct. What we're getting back is user data, the full user information, which is great because right now we can just write simple verify function. It's taking no params, const data await API, this is get, the result should be of type user data, and that's the URL, and return it. And export it. Okay, we have that. So here in preload, I can do await verify. Okay, and now here, two of things can happen. Either we get 200 OK, meaning the current cookie and the token in it are correct, meaning the user was signed in before or signed in and everything is all right. Or we can get 401, meaning, well, we don't really have user data. The JWT was expired or is invalid, meaning user is definitely not signed in. And we can manage that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just do user data, set user data, use state here, user data. Okay, well, we have to export that. User data or undefined. Sorry. Import that, and now we can get our data and let's call it that. That's not a good name. Maybe do logged in user data. Okay, and we have to catch that. And then we just set user data, or we set it back to undefined. So set user data, well, just make it undefined. Well, it starts as undefined. Yeah, it starts as undefined, so this line isn't really necessary, but just to don't have empty catch. Here we go, console error, cannot verify token from the last session, something like that. Okay. Let's see. What do we get here? So, okay, we have 401. This is correct. Okay, so let's go to sign in. And let's try and see. That was the user we created. Okay, that's fine. I believe we are logged in correctly. If we go to application cookies, we have the authentication cookie here. This is something else. And now if I reload, you can see that verify returns 200 OK and user data. So now this determines whether our user is signed in or not. And it actually makes sense, because if you have user data, then probably your user is signed in. And if it's undefined, well, there's no user, right? So no one's signed in. Now, I'd like to use it in a header. And now that we think of it, we'll probably use it across many places in our app, right? So it only makes sense to store it in a way that can be accessed from anywhere. And I was actually wondering whether we should go with Redux or some other state management library, but I decided for purpose of that tutorial, that course, we're gonna go with context. So let's create out context here. This is out.context.tsx, I believe. Or actually TS is fine, because we won't be using any JSX. So we need to create the interface describing our context, and this is our context, which will probably have user data. That's why this is optional. And there will be a way to set it, of course. Set user data, user data, user data, or undefined, and it will return void. And now we just have to create our context. Of context, this is equal to create context partial, because we don't know from the very beginning the values of our context, and we provide. Okay, so why is this partial? Well, because we can't initialize it with empty object, because, well, we would have to specify the initial values, and we don't know them. They will come from some other file or some other component. Therefore, we can set it to partial. This makes everything, I believe, this and this optional, and now fine. We have to go back to our app, where is it here? Because this is actually our out context provider, right? So this is where we get our information about how to set the user data and user data from. So I'm gonna just get our out context, use the provider. Okay, and now we have to provide a value, which is user data, and set user data. Okay, so we have two things in our context: the user data and the function to set it. Okay, so this is actually pretty cool, because now we're not only able to read the user data, but also to change it. So that's gonna be useful. For example, when we're logging out the user, we'd like to set the user data to be undefined, and that will be like our marker, our indication that the user is logged out. So yeah, let's just go to our I have to enable it. Okay, React and choose components. And here we have our context provider. I don't know which is, oh yeah, this is the value false, meaning the user is not logged in yet. I believe that's the one, or that one. Yeah, that one. And as you can see, the description is, well, not very telling, it's just context provider. But if we go here and if we change this and give it display name, now we can see that, oh, this context is actually auth context, so it's way more readable. So if you have something in components DevTool, in React DevTools rendered, and you're not really sure what it is, or you'd like to rename it, you can use the display name property to change that. So it's kind of cool. Going back to our header, I suppose. Okay, we will have to use our context. So this is not needed, but we can take our user data and we can use context of context. So this is like our out context consumer. Okay, and here we can change some stuff depending on whether the user is logged in or logged out. So after the language menu, we'll do some differentiation if user data is there. So for now, let's just add sign in, and if not, then basically we're rendering that like a sign in. Okay, so okay, you can see it already is changing. It changed because the user is signed in. So what we have to do here is to basically create sign in menu. Okay, so let's create that. This will be pretty similar to what we have in language menu. So the question is, this is gonna be the same, right? But it's the same, but it's different because the menu is the same, like this part. This part is different. This part is pretty much the same. Okay, well, let's not overthink it. Well, we can live with a little bit of a reused code. Let's call it user menu. And I'm gonna copy all of that. Of course, we'll change it a little bit. This is gonna be user menu. Okay. And now here we're gonna have person as an icon. Oh, we have to pass user data here. Interface, user many props, user data is type user data. Okay, so this is good. Then here we have a span with user data display name. Okay. It's generic. So user many props, and then this should be. I can't type like really. Okay, this is fine. This should be good. Then we should, well, define some things, because this is actually, as you can tell in the lower screen, moving user to the different sites. So here I'm going to create user many links, okay, and with titles and URLs. So basically this is title is account, URL is account. Don't think we will implement these subsites. Maybe redeem code URL redeem, then title coupons, Jesus Christ, URL is coupons, then title is wish list, and URL is wish list. Okay, so that's good. I'm gonna use that here, and we're gonna map to nav link. Okay, and this is link, key is link title, is this correct? No, actually it's not a link. Well, not yet. Maybe we'll make it to a link. Key is fine, and also this is fine. Okay, this is looking good. We can get rid of that and that and that. Is there something missing? No. So let's see how that looks. Oh, we have to actually use that. So let's make use of it. User many user data is equal to user data. Okay. Well, it's something. We need to fix it a little bit, right? So let's see. First things first, let's change it to user many, right? That was too far right. Oh. This is unexpected. user menu. Oh yeah, obviously. Okay, now we could go. Well, it definitely needs margin. So user menu wrapper add margin right. Let's do 8 for now. Oh, okay. User menu wrapper. Okay. Then let's get rid of that so we can fix this value. Okay, -20. Can live with that. But then this span, well, let's call it username. So color is theme palette. Main text transform is uppercase. Font size is 875 px. This is good. Also letter spacing set to 2 pixels. And we should use it. So here it is, class name equal to what? To classes username. Okay, way better, way cleaner. Okay, so that's pretty much it. This is a language item. This is, well, user menu item. And it's being used here. Well, as you can tell, we have some similarities between user menu and language menu, but I'm gonna allow it for that. Especially, we have to add one thing here. And this is one special entry. And I assume you probably can already imagine what that is on log out, right? Class name, this is classes user menu item, sign out, maybe log out is fine, except for the fact that it should be here. Oh yeah, that's not defined. We have to define that here as a prop. It's gonna be just a function to call, so nothing special here. And here, logout will just call a function that sets user data to undefined. Well, actually, we need to do a little bit more than that. That's not enough. It comes from logout use callback. Well, first thing is obviously setting the user data to be undefined, but then we also need to log our user out, like actually destroy the cookie, and this can only be done by server. So you have some dependency, right? And this is going to be set user data as your dependency. What else? Cannot invoke an object which is possibly undefined. Well, yeah. You know that defined at the time. I'm writing. I'm so tired today after my run. I'm preparing for 10K run. And as you can tell, it's taking its toll. Well, part is that we actually have to log out. And no. It's gonna be the name. And here we have to write our login function. It's post. Okay, that's not correct URL, but that is. Oh, okay. That's correct now. The question is whether we have that defined in our controller. Yeah, we have. That's fine. So as you can see, this sets the header for the response as a set cookie, forcing our browser to set the cookie. And the cookie we get is just set with empty and max age 0, which basically makes the browser remove the cookie. For that, and use that here. Okay, so let's see. This is all correct and looks as I wished it to look. So now if I click on the logout, okay, and as you can see now it changed to sign in and our cookie authentication is empty. Okay, so that's great, right? And if I reload, okay, this still stays as a sign in. And if I go back to our form, let's see, no, that was the password. Now that looks correct, but this is sign in. Okay, and why is that? That's one thing that's missing. After we sign the user in, we redirect him to the our home page, right? But we don't set the data. If I reload it now, it will be set because of the preload. But yeah, as you can see, that was a bug and it wasn't set up properly. So let's go to our, it's gonna be login form. And on success, one thing that we have here is our data should be of type void, which isn't correct. We have to go here, and we can get rid of that, and we can return our data. So now here it should have correct type. It has. So we have to get access to our context. This is gonna be our context. Great. Check for set user data, and if it is there, and we know it is, set this is good. If you can, please set user data with data. And that should complete our flow. So let's try this again. We're logging out. We're going back to sign in. We're specifying the credentials. And voila, we're signed in. Well, one thing we could do is just to limit the margin here, right? Or give it text indent like -8 pixels. Yeah, that's another trick you can do. Yeah, we can do that. It will be like our final touch. So user menu, username. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit clearer. This, well, it looks a little too big. We can just update that a little bit better. Yeah, looks good enough for me, and everything is highlighting correctly. So that's that. Finished before 1 hour. In the next episode, we will have to start thinking about actually how to bring all this content into our app. So basically, we'll have to figure out how to build all of these collections and entries. That's gonna be an interesting one, I assure you. I'm gonna see you in the next one. Thank you for that. Have a nice evening. Bye.